doesn't, just like dating, because we do it with, let me tell you something, friend.
Dating.
We do this with dating with no problem.
Yes.
I mean, some people have, hurt issues and they never date again, but most likely we all date.
Yeah,
we go back to, because we desire
right.
to be with someone. So if you have a true desire to have the right people around you in friendships, you are going to get back up and you're going to give other people a chance.
Have you ever felt confused about your present, like feeling like you're all over the place and super anxious about your future, but you have the desire to pursue purpose? Well, my name is Michelle Morris and I've created a series called Living on Purpose. In this series, I interview different individuals who are doing just that, living on purpose. We talk about their different obstacles that they face, the ups, the downs, and actually what it's like now to actually be pursuing purpose. So I want you guys to come along the journey with me as we talk to these different individuals. We see what it's like to live on purpose. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Living on Purpose. I'm your host, Michelle Morris, and today we have a super special guest. Today I have with me here Samantha, and she is the friendship connoisseur, okay? So as you guys know, here on Living on Purpose, we talk about just the journey of purpose and pursuing purpose. However, I thought it was very important for us to discuss how important friendship is when you are pursuing purpose and just in life in general. So who else to have than Miss Samantha here?
Hey, friend.
Perfect. So, Samantha, just let us know a little bit about like who you are, what you're about, your ministry, organization, etc.
Okay. Hey, friend. This is probably something you'll hear me say all the time.
Yes.
My name is Samantha the Liberal, and I am known as the friendship enthusiast. And basically, I started an organization called Pure Friendships, and it started from my passion and love for friendship. I've always been a friendship person. I really value that relationship. And so God put it on my heart to start this organization, this movement, this ministry. It really falls under so many different brackets, but really it's purely about finding a love in friendship, finding a better relationship with God. And through having that relationship, you can find the right people, your right squad, your right tribe, and things of that sort.
That's perfect. That's awesome. So I want to ask, because like I said, this is Living on Purpose. How important is it to you, would you say, is having the right friends around when you're pursuing purpose?
Oh my God, it's so important. And I'm a very conceptual person. I like to make things very practical, because we can say so many things and people still not get it.
Right.
One of the things I like to say when I do speak about friendship is that a friend is supposed to ship you somewhere. Just like any other relationship, it's supposed to ship you. So the people around you will literally tell you where you're headed in the next 5 years. So it's important in any phase or any stage of your life that you have the right people around that literally take you to where you need to go.
Right.
Now, some people are going to be there from the beginning to the end, where whatever plan that is God has for you, that person will probably be there from the beginning to the end. But then you have people that will take you to pit stops.
Right.
People that take you from point A to point B and B to C. It just all depends, and you just have to respect the journey and really evaluate the people around you in every season of your life.
Right. So then with saying that, so I'll talk about myself personally. I've been through some toxic, friendships, relationship. So funny enough, fun fact, just really quickly, Samantha pursued me, right? And I was like so afraid. I was just like, who is this girl? But I'm appreciative that you were so persistent and consistent, because right when Samantha wanted to become my friend, I met her at an event and she reached out to me on social media. I had just went through a friendship breakup. It was just so toxic. So I would say to you, how do you know when it's time to move past a friendship, and how do you even know when it's toxic?
Okay. Well, let's talk about toxicity first.
Yes.
You know it's toxic when they start to infiltrate on all the good things in your life, like your peace, your joy, your happiness. I like to call this my fruit basket, because if you read the word, it talks about, in Galatians 5, it talks about having the fruit of the Spirit. And that talks about you having peace, being disciplined, having joy, happiness, forbearance, and all of these things that God wants you to have. He wants you to have these abundantly. As soon as you start meeting people that start taking your fruit, listen, don't touch my bananas, don't touch my strawberry, just don't do it. And if you must, because sometimes we have to pour into our friends. I don't mind pouring joy into you. I don't mind sharing the happiness that I have in my life into you. But are you going to replenish me as well? Is there going to be reciprocation? And what we find a lot in toxic relationships is that people take and take and take and take. And if they do pour into you, it's not fruit. It's rotten stuff. It's things that you can't eat, things that aren't edible. So it's like you look at these relationships, how is this benefiting me? Right. And am I even able to pour into this person? Because sometimes we can't even give them the joy and the fruit that we have because they don't like fruit in that season. So you ask those questions and you'll see if you're in a toxic relationship or not. Now, when you decide to cut that off, it's always a good time to leave toxicity. And I can tell you that now, even in my seasons now, in my ministry, my movement, I've learned so much. I've met so many different people for this season. My past season before I started this movement, I had great friends, and they're still great people, but they couldn't pour into me anymore as I moved into this season. And it doesn't mean that they were toxic. Right. So sometimes it's not even toxicity, it's just not good for you in that season. Right. Or the fruit may not be ripe, you know, so you can't eat it if it ain't ripe yet, right? So while they're going through their ripening season and God's working on them, that's like, I like to call it that way. God's working on them. Right. I'm moving on into another season in my life and I had to separate. It's always a good time to leave. It's always a good time. And I think leaving a toxic situation definitely requires forgiveness and healing. Yes. However, we don't want to move on from a situation and become so isolated that we're unable to make other friends. So when I met you,
that was my next question. That was my next question. But go ahead, finish.
But when I met you, I didn't know what you were going through, but I felt the tug in my spirit, like, you know, I need to talk to her. I need to connect with her. That's just what God told me to do. So it's like, I don't know what you're going through, but at the same time, in the midst of your healing season or when you're moving past, God can send someone into your life to get you to that next step. Right. That's why you need friends. You need people that's going to help shift you. You're going to have those friends that help you heal. Right. Because you don't have to heal alone. A lot of times we think we have to go through the breakups alone, but we don't have to. Right. Even if it's embarrassing, even if it was our fault. Because sometimes it's our fault the friendship ended. And we could take account for that. But that doesn't mean you should suffer alone. Right. You know? So, yeah.
So then you made a really great point about like how I was the battered person and, you know, all those things. But like, so what advice would you give someone when, you know, okay, you said that it's important for friends to ship you. So they're supposed to bring value into your life. But how do you know, or how can you give someone advice of how they can start opening up that space in that area slowly, maybe not too much, that they can start, you know, allowing people to come in and experience that friendship? Because that's what I'm still, you know, dealing with now, is just trusting people enough to really come into my life.
Okay, so you said a very important thing. You said trusting people. And one thing I learned very, very early on in this movement, this journey, even transitioning from the old friends that I had, and like, how do I trust other people? And God made it very clear to me, you don't trust them, you trust me.
That's so good.
You trust me. You trust that I'm going to send the right people into your life, and when I send them, they're going to give you something, and they're going to take you certain places. But you have to be ready and comfortable with what that is, because you trust God. Even if I meet someone and I want them to be with me when I get to point D and F and J, God may not want that. Okay. He might just want me to go up to D, and that's it with that person. And sometimes we want to hold on to people and things because we think we have possessive natures. Right. We're territorial sometimes, and we want to hold on to people in certain places in our life when God didn't really want it to go that way. Right. There was something that person brought to you. They probably taught you patience. I've met people that taught me how to be patient. I wasn't always patient. I had to learn to be patient. I met friends that made me learn to be patient. Then I went through somewhere. It's like, okay, girl, you got to be patient now. Friend, you got to be patient. Friend, you got to have grace. Friend, you have to forgive. Yes. You know, and you're going to meet different people that teach you certain things. So you have to trust that God is sending you something or someone to pour something in you that you don't already have. So when you look at friendships and you look at moving on and you look at, how am I going to trust this person? Because this person's going to come in my life. They might do something and we may not have a friendship anymore. Right. You have to just trust God, like, hey, if this doesn't, just like dating, because we do it with, let me tell you something, friend.
Dating.
We do this with dating with no problem.
Yes.
I mean, some people have, hurt issues and they never date again, but most likely we all date.
Yeah,
we go back to, because we desire
right.
to be with someone. Mm-hmm. So if you have a true desire to have the right people around you in friendships, mm-hmm. you are going to get back up, mm-hmm. and you're going to give other people a chance, and right. you have to trust God. Mm-hmm. He always says, trust me, don't trust no man,
right?
But you trust him, and you trust that even if she comes into your life and she backstabs you, mm-hmm. even if she makes you feel a certain way, she tugs at your insecurities, maybe mm-hmm. it's because you needed to learn what your insecurities were. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's because you needed to learn that, I can't tell everybody everything.
Right.
I have to learn how to break things down with my certain friends are for this and certain friends are for that. Maybe God's trying to teach you how to keep a secret. Maybe he's trying to teach you how, you get what I'm saying?
Or like even maybe so much that you don't have to share everything with everybody all the time. I think that's really good too. And I think sometimes, people have a problem with like having different type of friends, being like, like you can't have different groups of friends. But you're just even saying like, no, it's okay. Like mm-hmm. certain friends are for this and other friends are for, for mm-hmm. this. But that just brings me to the next topic. So especially now in 2020, a lot of people are very ambitious, starting businesses, everything like that, which is great. Mm-hmm. I think that's amazing. But how would you say, because I know for myself, this is something I've struggled with. You have friends who maybe don't support you in the way that you think that they should. Mm-hmm. So, and that's why, with living on purpose, you're trying to pursue purpose, but like, maybe you have friends who you thought would, assist you in this way or that way. And now you're having, well, are they really my friend? Well, they don't promote me. They don't whatever, or they don't reciprocate the same ways that you would. Like, what would you say about that?
Ooh, support is a very touchy one.
Right.
And I've talked about this a lot on my pages mm-hmm. and on any of my platforms. I've talked about support. It's all about perspective.
Right.
We have to change our perspective and how we look at the expectations we have from our friends when mm-hmm. it comes to what we're doing.
Right.
There's different reasons where your friend may not support, mm-hmm. And I think I've talked about 3 different reasons, where one could be that they don't understand what you're doing.
Right.
And it doesn't resonate with them. Mm-hmm. They may not think you deserve it because they're familiar with where you've been mm-hmm. and where you came from. Mm-hmm. So they saw you as a little girl. So they're like, who she thinks she is? Like my old friends, they're like, who she thinks she is?
But then is that your friend? But is that your friend?
It's not that they may not be your friend for the new season that you're going into.
Okay, yeah.
But they were your friend then.
Okay.
But when you start pursuing something that God is telling you to do, because let me tell you, whatever you pursue to do, whatever your business is, whatever you come up with, some people didn't see it in mm-hmm. you. So when you start developing the God in you, which mm-hmm. is your purpose,
right.
people are going to be like, well, where did this come from? And a lot of the time it's because they haven't identified their own purpose.
That's so good.
Because let me tell you, I have friends that they've identified who they are and they found their niche, and I found my niche, and it's like, go girl, go friend, I'm going to support you. I may not understand what you're doing, but I'm going to support you because I know what it feels like to find my purpose and go through that. So when you change your perspective and how they're taking it, mm-hmm. you kind of understand that, okay, maybe that's why they're not supporting me, because of those things.
Right.
Another thing I like to tell people is, don't have so much expectations for your friends or the people around you mm-hmm. for your business. Like, you talk about wanting to be a millionaire, you want to be wealthy, you want to be rich, and you want to go forward.
Right.
Do you really think if your 10 friends buy your book that you're going to make it? No. God, when he says he's sending you to the nations, he's sending you out there to heal people mm-hmm. and be fishers of men. He's talking about international stuff. He's talking mm-hmm. about people who don't know you.
Right.
People who's never seen you before, but he's going to put your name on their hearts, and you're going to divinely meet those people. They're going to come in contact with your book online, your platform. They're going to hear from another friend of a friend of a friend that didn't know you, and that's where your support's going to come from. Right. Now, let me tell you, there's a beauty, there's a plot twist, because what God likes to do is he will take you out of what's familiar. Mm-hmm. He will expose you to who needs you.
Right.
And that glorifies him. That glorifies what you're doing. And the friends mm-hmm. that were really unsure, that didn't, that they're familiar with where you came from, mm-hmm. the ones that didn't support you at first mm-hmm. will come back. And this is where you get a chance to forgive.
Okay, that was going to be my next thing. Because if I'm honest, Like, I feel like, you know, kind of like, you know, a little bit Prophet Drake, right? If you wasn't really shooting in the gym, it's kind of like, you know, I feel like anyways, don't be like, oh my gosh, I knew you could do it, friend. Did you?
I mean,
like, how do you differentiate that? How do you know, like, when to be like, okay, this person, maybe they don't get it, but I know they support me. But this person, you're really just a hater. Maybe we shouldn't be friends.
And that's a difference. I think you have to pay attention to that because you have some people who just hate. So you got to know why they didn't support you. If it's because they understand, they see what you're doing.
Right.
They know it's fitting for you. They know this would be great for you, but they just decide not to. It's jealousy. Now that's a different type of thing because when they come back and they're like, oh girl, I knew you could do it, but you didn't know before. Obviously, you would still forgive, but that doesn't mean I got to give you access to where I'm at.
Right. Okay.
But you have those people who truly are they're oblivious to what you're doing. They really couldn't put two and two together.
Right.
They don't hate you.
Right.
They're just not in a season to understand or support. And I feel like a lot of my older friends, that was a situation. I don't think they hated me or anything. I just feel like they just wasn't in the season to understand what I was doing and the decisions that I was making.
Right.
So it's easier for me to have a conversation later like, I understood. I forgave you. You know, I have no problem with moving forward if you see what I'm doing now.
Right. If you see what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Okay. So then that brings me to this, like, okay, so you mentioned about friends, sometimes them just not knowing what it is that you're doing. So it may have just been like, those are the friends who's like, you can forgive because they just didn't understand. Would you say, because I think I struggle with this, do you think that sometimes with friends that we should just ask for the support for that exact same thing of you saying like, they just don't understand. So should it be like, hey, could you repost this? Because like, we're in 2020. So it's reposting, it's sharing, that's what it is. It's not, you know, come to my event. So like, should it be like, hey, could you repost this because this is what I'm trying to do, and you realize like I cherish this friendship, but maybe you're not supporting me in the way that I want you to, kind of like love language, you know, when you're in a relationship, the way that you want to be loved. So the way that I want to be supported, you're my friend, I appreciate you as a friend, could you please share my post? And then what if, like, do you ask, or like, and then what if they don't do it? Are they not your friend? Like, how does that work, you know?
Okay, so I can give you an example. Having a conversation, communication is very important.
Right.
So when I started this movement, I made it very clear to all of my friends. I mean, I even wrote a letter. I was very, like, I don't know why I did it, but this is what God told me to do. I wrote everyone a letter personally about the journey I was going on and hoping that they can, you know, be with me on the journey. And so literally, I noticed after launch that no one really supported, and the support that I was expecting was more so of, because my love language at the time, because I've evolved, my love language was words of affirmation. Like I would like to hear the validation and I like input from all of my friends, you know, so I didn't really hear anything. So it wasn't more so of me wanting them to repost anything I was posting or walk around with a banner or anything like that, but really hear from my friends, the people that I speak to all of the time. I would like to hear what your thoughts are concerning what I'm doing. And I didn't hear anything, right? So what I did was I set up a date to talk. Okay. I set up individually with everyone, you know. Didn't go as well because I was very straightforward. And I think it's important that we're straightforward about how we feel and what it is that we don't understand. Right. So my question was like, hey, I did this and I was expecting something, a word, you know, something. Right. And so what I got was, you know, either they didn't understand. They said they didn't understand what I was doing, even though it's very clear what I was doing.
I mean, I think it's pretty clear.
But if you're in a season where you don't understand it, you don't understand
you just don't get it.
You know, one friend was like, hey, I don't really have the support. I don't have it in me to support anyone right now. You know, and I have to understand that if you don't have any to support, even though my form of support was just want to hear your input. I just want you to tell me what you think. But that may be too much for somebody. Right. I don't know what you're going through. So when that happened, I had to literally look at the situation like, okay, I get it. And just kind of start moving from there. Now, one friend did tell me, I don't know how, I don't think I have it in me to support, but you haven't told me how to support you. So asking, as you say, I think is very important. You have not because you ask not. You can ask, but when you ask, you have to be prepared for the no.
Right.
You have to be prepared for the no, and you can't take it personal because they may have their own personal reasons why they're not able to do what you're asking. Right. You know, I know for me, for instance, even with my movement now where I'm at, I have so many people that I know, and I have so many friends that I may not I can't repost your barbecue stand. You know, I may not, because it doesn't fall in line with my the platform that I have and the business that I'm trying to run. It may not cross paths with what you're doing. Right. And I have to be respectful of that because I don't want a page that's just like a spam page with hair and nails, and I have to be mindful of the people that you know, have followed my page who are depending on friendship wisdom and the things that I pour out. They don't want to see Susie's barbecue and lemonade stand, even though I love Susie's barbecue and her lemonade, you know. But I try to find ways to support that work for me, and that will also work for them. And this is where you have to have a conversation. Hey, you know, I've had people ask me to be in photo shoots for their brand. I can't be everybody's face for everybody's brand. I just can't do it. But what I do is say, hey, I can't be in a photo shoot, but can I be there? Can I support? Can I help with the dress team? I'm creative. I have other talents. Right. Outside of my platform, I have other talents. I can help you come up with taglines. I've helped people with logos. I've helped people come up with names for their businesses. This is how I find ways to support my friends. It may not be the post.
No, I think that's actually a really great idea, actually, to find other ways that you can support. Because I even find that with myself, like, I don't have a lot of friends, and I choose not to have a lot of friends. You know, that's either good or bad. I don't know. But, like, you know, the ones that I do have, I try to cherish them, and I try to find ways but then I feel like, well, maybe I have to say yes to everything. Maybe this probably don't make sense, but she's trying to do it. And I think with me, it's because, like, I know what lack of support feels like. So me, I want to be like overly supportive. But you said something and it made me think. So you're talking about, you know, maybe your previous friends or your current friends not understanding. Do you think it's important to then just make new friends? And then making new friends, how do you make friends in 2020? Like, especially like with everything just going on, like how do you make friends, especially as a young adult? I think it's different when you're a child and you go on the playground. It's like, hi, you want to be friends? And then that's it. But as an adult, how do you make friends? Like, how does that work?
Well, first of all, you said something before and I really want to touch on it. Quality is always better than quantity. You know, I love meeting people, and if the numbers are up for me, the numbers are up. Right. Because if God sends me 10 good people in this season, then I'm gonna have 10 good friends. Right. That's just what it is. But I don't get caught up with the numbers. I don't get caught up with having so many people. I'm more interested in the content of the character of the person and who you are as a friend. So, as far as making friends and moving on, because you was like, oh, do I just make new friends because they're not supporting me? I think if you just trust God, you're going to receive the people. Right. You know, either it's one by one. Because I went through a season when I was transitioning. I was like, God, how am I going to do this? Because I'm about to talk about friendship, but all my friendships are falling off. I'm like, what are you doing, God? What are you doing? Because how am I going to be the friendship enthusiast when my friends are falling away? Right. But then it's like I had to trust Him. And then He sent me people one by one that literally solidified and confirmed what I was doing and where I was headed. Right. And these weren't people that had millions of friends. Right. These weren't all friendly people. Some people that I met were people who, you know, like you, just coming from a transition but you have impacted my movement and my thoughts on friendship, because I can see how it works. You get what I'm saying? And even with my best friend now, you know, when I first met her, I didn't want to even talk to her. Because the state where I was in, I wasn't in the state to really talk to her. But now we're really good friends, and she's never had friendships like that. Right. But we were able to see God in our friendship, and really, He's the one steering the ship. I wanted to say that earlier, but I forgot to say it. He's the one steering the ship. Right. So even though we say friends will ship you somewhere, you still have to include that you know, that peace with God in your relationship so that it can be properly steered. And I want to say one more thing.
Yeah, sure.
About support.
Go ahead. Listen. That's what this is about. Because it's so important when you're pursuing purpose. Mm-hmm. It's like, some people think you absolutely need support. Because I think it was so important that you said that validation. Like, you shouldn't be necessarily looking for the validation. It's nice to hear, but maybe they can support you in other ways. But go ahead.
One more thing about support. Support isn't always going to come in the form of, let me pour money into your movement. Right. Let me post something. Sometimes support is sharpening you. Iron sharpens iron. Right. So, someone might support you by saying, friend, that didn't look good. And it might be critique. Right. It might be wisdom. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that doesn't feel good. If you're being sharpened and iron is sharpening iron, you're like, ouch. Friend, why did, and my best friend, her support to me is making sure I'm staying on track. Right, yeah. And sometimes when we're getting derailed and delayed and procrastination, it's like, friend, what's going on? What's up with this? And it seems like you're being pressured. It seems like, okay, whatever. But that is support as well. You need someone that's going to hold you accountable. Mm-hmm. And sometimes accountability hurts. Yes. You get what I'm saying? Right. So we have to look at support like, okay, it's not just being there and doing things and pushing me forward, but sometimes that push is going to hurt. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that push is going to be critique. Sometimes it's going to be sharpening you in areas that you didn't even know you needed sharpening in. Right. So really, are we going to move away from it? Because sometimes we get confused with support when it comes in that format, and we think that they're being harsh. Mm-hmm. We think they're not supporting us. They're jealous. We think that they're jealous. Mm-hmm. We label it, and then we end up walking away from a ship that we really need because it needs to take us from this point to the next point.
So that's good. So the next question was, so how do you find friends in 2020 as a young adult? What does that look like? I know me, like, I feel like I don't need them. Honestly, I just feel like I'll just stay to myself because I like not, because sometimes friendships could be work. And then that's another question. You can ask that secondly, like, what would you say anyways, as in your opinion, how to be a good friend? Mm-hmm. I find that hard sometimes because I have different kinds of friends. I have friends who are a little bit more needy, who need me to be there all the time. And I'm just like, us, like, I could not talk to you for a month and be fine. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, so how do you find friends? And secondly, what does it look like to be a good friend?
Okay, so finding friends, position yourself just like you would do to really have the right, man or woman come into your life, just like you position yourself to have the right career, the right job. It's the same thing with friendship. Mm-hmm. If you want to have the right friends, become that person you want to come in your life. Mm-hmm. If you want friends that are giving just like you give, if you want friends that take advice just like you take advice, be able to do it. Mm-hmm. Those hurdles, if you don't go through them yourself, you're not going to attract the people that you need to attract. So once you start positioning yourself, you start focusing on your career, you start focusing on the whole you, becoming whole, because you have to become whole in friendship before certain type of friendships as well. Even though those friendships are going to help you become whole, you still have to kind of work on becoming whole. And as you're becoming whole, as you're working on your attitude, as you're working on forgiveness, your anger, your short-temperedness, you're working on all these areas of your life, you're going to meet those people that you need to meet. You're going to be in position to meet them. You might go to a party, a birthday celebration, or it might be online. Let's be honest. We have technology has ran rampant. And let me tell you, some of the best people I've met has been on social media. And I will never take away from it. I love meeting people in person. Yeah. I love networking in person. But I've met some amazing people online. And when you're in purpose, and I'm going to add this, when you're in purpose and you're doing the things you want to do, whether it's fashion, nails, whatever you're doing, you're going to be connected to other people that you can make friends with. I've been asked to speak on panels and speak in certain things, and I've met some amazing women on the lineup. And we're like great friends now. We're like, oh my God, we got to do this again. You get what I'm saying? So when you're in purpose, you'll find the right people. So that's how you can make friends. Now, as far as how do you become a good friend? You just look for the best. You look for the best in people, and you always search your heart. Like I always pray this prayer, like, God, create in me a clean heart. It's all about purifying your heart and renewing your mind daily. You literally have to wake up every day and say, you know what? I deserve good friendships. I deserve good people because I'm a good person. Because I do this XYZ in my life. There's no reason why I can't get connected to the right people. Now, as far as juggling and having different friends, and you said you don't need them or you don't want them, but you do.
Yeah, I don't not need them or not want them. I know it's so important. I know community is so important, but I've just been kind of stained. And to the sense where I'm just like, I don't deal with it. Like, I don't want to do that again. But I'm also very young, and God willing, I have more of life to live, and I would love to have those beautiful friendships that I see, that I admire. Right. You know? So, but I want to know just how to be a good friend, because sometimes I think, like, it goes both ways. You know how they say, like, the phone rings on my end, but the phone can also ring on your end. Like, you can also call me. You can also make dates. And I find it that, like, in this season, I'm trying to work on being a better friend. So I've been calling different people in my life, trying to make those dates and sit. But I'm just like, is this worth pursuing, or how can I make it better? Or am I just being a bad friend in general because, like, I go MIA sometimes? Because I do go MIA sometimes. So, yeah.
I think the way to start is just being available. Available to God. Available to what He's bringing into your life. And when you see an opportunity to build. I know I'm that friend that anybody can call and text anytime, and I'm there. Like, I don't like to see text messages saying 100 and I haven't responded to anybody, or even my emails. Like, it's a stickler. So when people reach out to me, I usually respond, even if it's a short response. So being available helps, but also being able to look and see, okay, is this a friendship? Because sometimes we want to build friendships with people that we can't build friendships with in that season. So is this a friendship that I can actually build with this person? Is this person interested in my life just as I'm interested in their life? Are we able to reciprocate? Because you can call everybody on your phone list all you want, or send a text message all you want, but if they're not really reciprocating, then you're not really going to get the best value of the friendship. But when you do run into certain people that are interested in what you're doing, or interested in your life, period, they might just be interested in your mental health, like, how are you doing, how you feel today, or how's your job, or how are the kids, or how's your, it depends on what that person brings into your life. You nurture that. You have to recognize the fruit, because if you don't recognize the fruit in the friendship, you won't be able to nurture it and make sure it remains.
So I'm pretty sure that you haven't always been the friendship guru, right? So what are some mistakes that you've made in friendship, and that you can give, to our audience, my audience? Like, what are some mistakes that you've made that can be done better?
I've definitely made mistakes, but I've always been known as the girl who has the friends. The girl who is, they used to call me the social butterfly. Like, I could go into a room and walk out knowing everybody. I was always the one in the group that brought a new person along. You get what I'm saying? My mistakes were more so personal. I think I kind of put myself in a cage. I used to have this mindset where, okay, I have 4 or 5 best friends and that's it. A1s, day ones, that's it. I wouldn't let anybody in. And when I used to bring my plus ones to the group or the clan, they used to be like, okay, here goes Sam. Sam got another friend again. Here she goes. She just, because I was very open. And so that was a big mistake for me, because I limited my ability to be what I was called to be. So what's important as far as, the mistakes that you make, just make sure you're being yourself. Be yourself, because I think that was my mistake. I wasn't being myself in certain areas. Let's see. I would probably not take criticism that well, because of how I identified the criticism, because I told you my love language was words of affirmation. So if you criticize me, then I feel like you don't love me. But I had to heal from that. I had to understand that criticism doesn't mean that they hate you. It doesn't mean that they're trying to hurt you, but they're trying to help you. So identify the things that you have issues with, and try to see the logic behind it. Like, if someone's criticizing you, are they criticizing you from a hateful place, or are they criticizing you because they want to help you? And that's, that kind of helped me. I had to grow through that. That was one of the things I went through in friendship.
So what advice would you give someone who is probably a little like myself, who struggles with finding friendships, who struggle with being open? What advice would you give them that they can do something, like maybe 2 things that's like so easy for them to do today? And maybe what if they don't believe in God? So just something that anybody can take that will help them. What advice would you give?
The advice I would give is to do things that you like openly. Don't
elaborate on that. What does that mean?
Don't isolate yourself. Go places. One of the things I always tell the girls in my coaching program is, Go to the movies by yourself. Go to a restaurant by yourself. Sit at a bar, even if you're not drinking. You don't have to drink. You can sit at the bar and eat at the bar.
Right.
You'll be surprised the people that come up and that you see. You can people watch and meet people. Another thing, say hey. Say hi to people. Yeah. When you walk into a new place, don't be afraid to say hi. Saying hi can open the doors for so many
That's true. You never know who you're saying hi to.
You don't. And then people get... We're in this place where people are so glued to their phones where they walk in and they don't say nothing to anyone. But if you walk into the room and you're the person that can open up and say, hi, how are you? Or, hey, nice seeing you, nice shirt. Give compliments. You know, don't be afraid to speak.
Right.
Because a lot of times we get so cornered in, we isolate ourselves and we don't speak and we're not being ourselves.
Right.
So when you go to certain places, whether you're with friends or you're alone, speak. Say something. Open up that door, because it's communication that opens the door for relationship.
Right.
If you can't speak, then you're not going to meet.
Nobody gonna talk to you.
Nobody going to really talk to you unless somebody comes up to you. And then I have those people who are like, oh, well, people usually approach me and that's how the friendship starts.
Right.
No, you start opening up and
saying
things and saying hi where you go and start going different places. Don't stay home all the time.
Right.
Those are two basic things.
Well, I want to kind of wrap up the interview, but there's something that you said that just came to mind. You're talking about when you had your group of friends, like your solid friends, and then you would bring another person or other people into the group, and then they wouldn't necessarily be receptive to this new person. What do you do about like those friends? Do you say, okay, well, maybe this friend is not for this group? Do you talk to that friend about it? Or like how do you kind of navigate that? People who don't want to allow more people into the group, because that is this thing, like no new friends. Like who I have is who I have, and that is all.
Yeah, I'm anti new friends.
Yeah.
I believe in getting new friendships and starting new friendships. So what I did was the first step was not being a part of a group. Not identifying myself to be a part of a group. I don't even do group chats anymore, girl. It's like it's that's a whole nother topic. But like just putting myself in a position where I can be friends with whoever is aligned with my journey. Because what you do is you put yourself in a cage. What I started to do was separate myself from being identified with a certain square or circle of people, and started identifying with myself, becoming an individual, like becoming Samantha D. Liberal, and not just Sam and friends or friends and Sam. You get what I'm saying? Or the A-team. But I started working on myself, and basically when I would meet a new friend, and now in my life, even if I have friends that may be kind of iffy about the person I'm meeting, that they understand where I'm at, where it's like, Sam got it. Sam, you get what I'm saying? So I've already created an atmosphere where the friends that I do meet understand that I am a friendship person. You may not be the friendship person. Not everybody are social butterflies. So it's a little bit different, but people have to understand who you are. Now, if you're quiet and you come up and you pop up with 3 friends, okay, your friends are going to be like, okay, who is she and what's going on? Because this is not you. But make sure your friends know who you are individually, and let them accept that, So I had to get to a place where, listen, this is who I am. I'm going to meet people where I go. God's called me to meet all types of people. Now, am I going to bring people into the circle, or not into the circle, but around you to invade your space and force you to be their friends? Absolutely not. I do believe in having individual relationships with my friend. We set up dates or whatever. And sometimes, like at my events, they meet each other. If they like connect. I've had events where people are like friends now. Like they're literally friends and posting each other's stuff on Facebook. I'm like, well, look at God, I allow God to move how He wants to move in my life. I'm not going to force you to be friends with my other friends, but at the same time, I'm not going to allow you to restrain me from building other relationships to the capacity that they're supposed to be built.
Because they don't own you. Like
they don't. It's territorial. And that I had to leave the territorial. Not say leave the territorial friend, but have that conversation. Like, listen. It's selfish. You have to be able to share, because what I share with you as a friend, I'm not going to get that with anybody else.
And not only that, but it might be great for them to also, because if they're holding on so tight to you, they might not also meet other people who may be great for them.
Exactly.
So like it's okay. But anyways, I want to go ahead and end this, interview. This was like awesome. But how I like to end every single interview is by asking the question, what does living on purpose mean to you?
Living on purpose means waking up every day and saying, I can have it and I can do it. And there's nothing that I I imagine, as wild as it is, there's nothing that you imagine that you can't have. And if you wake up every day and you think like that, your steps will literally be orchestrated the way that they need to be orchestrated. Because you know that if I do X, Y, Z on my list today, then I'm going to get one step closer to everything I thought that I'm capable of. So, yeah, that's what living in purpose means.
Awesome. So where can we reach out to you? Where can we find you on social media? What's up next? Are you having an event? Let us know where we can find you.
Oh my gosh. So I have so many things coming up. I don't even know where to start.
Yes.
Events, virtual events. I'll be doing some physical events in different states as well. I've been talking to a lot of people. I have books coming out.
Yes.
Oh my God. People are just
I'm excited for that. Yes,
people have been asking about the books. I'm like, come on now, it's time.
Yes.
You can find me on all social media platforms. Samantha D. Liberal is my name on Facebook.
Yes.
You can follow me on Facebook because I think I'm at the Friendship Max. But you can follow at Pure Friendships with an S on IG. Mm-hmm. You can follow me on Facebook. You can follow me on Twitter. I also have a YouTube channel, and I just started a TikTok, and I'm super excited about that.
Okay,
because I gotta put the scenarios out there.
Yeah, you're gonna have to teach me how to do TikTok. I can't figure out TikTok. But anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys on the next episode of Living on Purpose. Bye, guys.
Bye, friend.
Did you like this interview? Tell me what you liked about it in the comment section below. And while you're down there, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell button so you get more notifications for the next Living on Purpose interview. And don't forget to share this video with someone that you like, love, or you just want to see this video. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in the next episode of Living on Purpose. Bye, guys.